get started. Okay. How's everybody doing this Sunday? If you want to just
Good.
share where you're calling from in the chat, or just unmute and share what's exciting about you this Sunday.
I think it's too early in the morning still for
Yeah,
Sunday
yeah.
people.
Some folks are just, still waking
Another
up.
stunning day in Ottawa.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day. I was just speaking to Rochana.
Really warm next week too.
Oh, yeah, that's good, Warm is good.
Yep. So I see Larry Ellison is now the richest guy.
Yeah, you've seen that
My old
article?
boss.
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
yeah,
Yeah. They thought he was down and out for a while there because he missed on the cloud and he looked like he was slow on AI as well.
yeah,
Can't underestimate that company, that's for sure.
yeah. They have a big, what do you call it, base with so many customers, so it's not easy
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, no, Jay, we can't hear you.
No, we cannot hear you, Jay. Yeah, maybe you wanna log out, log in again.
Yeah.
Okay, I think
Remember,
let's. Yeah, go ahead.
people used to think Oracle was out when it came to cloud, but they forgot that during the 2000s, they were running basically a cloud business for all their financial applications called On Demand. And it was really successful, and they were winning awards for their data centers and stuff. And it was going really well. So
Yeah,
they know what they're doing. It's not a company to ignore, that's for sure. But I
yeah,
guess he'll buy another island or another big boat or something. Guy's 80 now.
yeah.
He's always been in great shape. Always looked after himself. He always looks good, but a little surgery doesn't help and doesn't hurt. Yeah. Anyways, 80.
Yeah.
Holy.
Okay, cool. I think let's get started. We're almost, 11:02. Let me kick it off. Let me start the recording first before I forgot. Sometimes I forgot. I don't know why. Okay, I record. Okay. 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 Happy Sunday, everybody. Glad to, have you today again, as usual. With Sunday, we circle back, we meet, we connect, and we share insights about what's happening in our worlds and get together to support each other. My name is Ahmed Zayed. I'm an IT professional and career coach. I've been helping people land jobs for the last 5 years, almost helped the more than 700 professionals land jobs in US and Canada. I've been previously working for big companies like Microsoft, Cisco, PwC, Indeed, and others. And I'm very glad that I've been called like a community person for some time. Even with Microsoft, I've been able to build a community of 7,500 professionals to help those professionals with leadership skills, with communication skills. I'm pleased to again help this community for almost now 5 years since COVID 2020. Been running those Sunday calls for some time, and different speakers came to this event and shared their wisdom. And we're always enjoying more of an interactive style, engaging way, not just preaching. So we'd like you to be open to chat and share your wisdom. It's a safe environment. We're definitely spreading this across social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, just again for the benefit of everybody to learn from this group. We're all learning together, and this is how we grow. Again, I personally learned a lot from everybody who joined as speakers or as attendees, and they gave me tons of wisdom to help me grow in my career before. So with that said, I'll maybe just let Neil introduce himself. He's also a colleague and a panel with me today, and he will be helping me with some of the questions from text. So Neil, go ahead if you want to give a quick intro, please.
Hi, thanks a lot. I'm Neil Robertson. I was a former early in my career as a geologist and economist at the same time, so a geoeconomist, and I'm mid-90s, I made a switch into IT. So if anybody's making those switches, I know how painful that is, how difficult that is. And I spent about 30 years working for companies like Oracle, IBM, SAP, VMware, and SAP. So, and I retired from Microsoft a couple of years ago after 7 years as a technology strategist, where I got to know Ahmed. I spent my career as a pre-sales technology person. I wasn't a developer, although oddly enough, I was assigned to the Java solutions at Oracle as pre-sales back in the early days, and I could just barely spell Java, but as they say, you just fake it till you make it kind of thing. Learn the lingo. But anyway, so I understand what it's like to make a big career switch. I understand back in my days, you didn't have LinkedIn, you didn't have online training. You had to do a lot of networking, really, and it's very, very difficult. So I understand how it works for people, and I'm always here to help, sort of guy.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much, Nell. Thank you so much. Again, we've been always, happy to have you and you share your wisdom. Okay, so the topic for today is how to stay employable in a tough market. This is the question of the hour. Whether you're currently working or whether you're searching for work, most folks are asking this question. Even if I get a job tomorrow, if I'm not working, am I able to stay employable? Is that something that I can, keep myself secure? As we all know today, you know, layoffs are happening everywhere. It's not something that is a surprise anymore. Like any company today can do layoffs, and again, it's a business. At the end of the day, they're trying to protect their own business. They're trying to make what is important for their business to keep growing. So we cannot blame the business. We cannot blame the market. We just need to work on ourselves. What we control is what matters the most. So I wanna start with those three questions, and let's start with the first one. And I want you to be please engaging in the chat, or unmute yourself and share. Who here feels like they are doing everything right, but still feels replaceable. I want to again say yes in the chat or no. This is what I want to hear. Again, I want this to be as engaging as possible because this is how we will grow and interact. So I'll give you a few minutes here. So who here feels like they are doing everything right, but still feels replaceable? Anyone?
I'll make a comment on that first statement.
Yeah.
So I had a conversation with my last manager at Microsoft, and one of the illusions that people have when they work in places that they're irreplaceable. You're getting lots of recognition, you're winning awards, you're doing everything, as he said, everything right. A friend of mine's mother, and my boss told me about this, we have the same friends, said, yep, it's for working people. Yep. The graveyard is full of irreplaceable people. So we're all replaceable. And a lot of times I've been through massive layoffs in various companies. I was at the dot-com crash, the 2007, 2008, and I saw some really amazing people get let go. And those decisions are more often not have little to nothing to do with how great you are. If there's instances where you happen to be in a position where you have very unique skill sets, you're very transferable skill sets, they will do what they can to try and save you. To move in. I've seen that happen where certain people are just those types of people where they're like Swiss Army knives and they need them and they'll do it. But even if you're doing everything right, I saw people doing everything right and still get let go. So yes, exactly. We all feel we're replaceable in the end of the day.
Yes, 100%.
For sure.
Yeah, it happened to me. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah. It's finally. Hey, it's RJ. Yeah, it happened to me in my workplace. I was bound for promotion actually, and after a month, they told me that they have eliminated my job position. So
And if you was not expecting this before, that's definitely not an easy period of time, And again, I hear you, RJ, and this is what we're going to speak about, how to avoid this in the future. Again, this happened to so many of us, and this is what we're trying to discuss. How do we protect ourselves from those kind of things in the future? So I see Anum also shared, he has just recently been let go, and what are the skills? He's in HR and he has a management degree and diploma, and in case I got replaced by another employee because of their seniority in company, I was let go. Okay, yeah, no, again, whatever the reasons are, it's not about you. I think it's all about the business, and this is again what we're trying to fix, or at least find a solution in this call today. So let me move ahead with the slide here. So I want you again to let me know if you feel like this is true or not. If we've been all told if I just do good work, I'll be secure. Who continue to believe this? I personally believe this for some time. Do you
Yeah.
do you guys feel like this is true anymore?
Yeah.
No?
I think, I think at the start of the career, everyone believes in this thing.
Yeah. And again,
It works up to a point, right? It's up to a point. You do good work, you're secure, but then there's that point where the company is like almost panicking. You can feel the panic, and you're going, "Oh boy."
Yeah,
I think even my good work's going to be good enough.
Yeah, I think these days the occurrence, the frequency of occurrence of these kind of scenarios is higher because of fast moving business conditions and the external conditions as well.
100%. Yes. Rachana, I think you raise your hand. You have a question or comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I was just I can't remember who was just talking right before me, but I think yes, I would agree. It's not just about now. I worked before for Washington Hospital Center, where my work was appreciated a lot with senior manager, like very, very senior managers as well, up to the administrative, like CEO level. But they were growing and growing, and suddenly, because technically they were like a nonprofit, so they stopped getting money and then started laying off their staff. So like at that time, they laid off more than 200 staff, which I was one of them as well. So it's also, like you said, it's not just about like what you're doing wrong. It's just about the situation, what just happened. It's everything is nice and beautiful, whatever, however comfortable. But at next moment, we don't know what's coming next.
It's rarely about what you're doing wrong. It's all about, like you said, they stopped getting the money. That's when they started panicking, and they had to find money fast. And they just don't take the time to review people's skill set. Like a lot of them, I was talking to my manager and other managers, and the big Microsoft layoffs, a lot of them didn't find out until the night before. But they had to make decisions up like between then and before they went to bed. And they just went by numbers, and it was extremely painful for these people because they had great staff. And it's brutal. Absolutely brutal.
100%. Faisal, I see you raise your hand. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so let me share a very unique situation that I experienced recently. So the company was doing good. I was working on a contract. They wanted to hire me directly, and I was not willing because I had to relocate to a colder state, which I did not want because of my kids. So all of a sudden, the tariff situation came in. They were in a difficult situation. Half of their merchandise was in the seas, high seas, and half of the merchandise was on the Chinese ports. And they are basically the specialty retail business. So with a single stroke of pen, they said in 15 days we are going to lay off all the contractors without any if and buts. So all that good work, all that progress, all that lacking or the technology that technology expertise and tech stack did not matter at that time. So everybody was let go from the contractors. So whatever, So however the good work you are doing, whatever the tech stack you have, whatever the skills you have, how much your manager likes you, doesn't matter in these situations.
100%.
And you feel your experience, they're going to be hurt by that, aren't they, in the end?
Initially, we thought they will be hurt, but my ex-colleagues told me that even initially they got hurt, but now they increase the prices of their products. So it's the customers who are getting the brunt. But now the senior leadership they realize that they are earning more and they are saving more, so they don't need any contractors anymore.
Yeah, no, again, some companies take a hit when they do layoffs for sure, and but they work on balancing this afterwards. I don't think this is our focus of today. We want to focus on ourselves. Focus on what we can control. How can we, you know, um, let's say, move forward from this stage. Again, this is definitely a tough stage for all of us. What we don't like, the sudden disrupt of losing jobs. That's definitely something that none of us would like to have. And but how can we defend ourselves? How can we protect ourselves from those kind of scenarios? This is what we really wanna discuss today. So I wanna again focus on what we can control, not what we cannot control. We cannot control the companies. We cannot control, how what they do in their business. That's something for them to take care of. We care about ourselves. We care about how we react. How can we move forward? So I think this is a good segue to the next uh, question here. And I want you all to be very, very honest with yourself. I want you to be very honest with yourself and ask this question to yourself. Would you rehire you if there is another company that would have your position today? Would you feel that, if you are the hiring manager, if you're the decision maker for this job, would you rehire yourself for this job? Or do you feel like, no, I'm not ready, I'm not the best, I'm not feeling that I'm the right person for this job anymore? There is some few things that shifted that I'm not really comfortable to be the right person now. What would you guys say about this? And again, I want this to be as transparent as possible because this is how you will grow. Faisal, please go ahead.
Yeah, so absolutely yes. For that position, if I think about myself, the person that or the worker that I was at that time, I'm even better now. But in some situations, because of some time that I have seen the market and how bad it is, in some situations I feel less confident on on applying to some positions because now they are asking for more technologies. Even they are, for example, for a data architect, they are even asking that you should be master in Power BI as well. You should be designing those reports yourself. So now I think the market is moving in a direction where they are asking for more skills, and in some cases they are asking 360 degree of those things. For example, now they want a data architect. Even they are working in analytics and all that. They should know the LLMs and Gen AI in the expert level. So that basically shakes the confidence a bit.
Yeah, and again, this is a good point, Faisal. Let's maybe stop here for a second and discuss about what companies need. So some companies would ask you to do everything. If you can mop the floor, they will ask you to mop the floor. Like so, it's not a matter of what they ask, but more of what they really need. This is something that I think when you did your job before, the job description had so many things, but when you started the work, you realize that there's few things that we really, really do and focus on. So regardless of what, I mean, the company could have a list of things in the job description, but that does not mean that those are really the one that would they really need. And again, I've been working with big companies before, and I know that sometimes job descriptions can feel like a thesis, or like feel like a big checklist of so many things, wish list. But let's be honest, nobody has everything. Nobody can have a master's in Power BI and the same thing, no LLMs and all those kind of things. That's going to be very, very tough to find, and companies know that. Like if they the more constrained they put to their job description, this means they are looking for unicorns, and unicorns are very, very hard to find. Rachana,
Right.
yeah.
So one thing I would like to mention here. So in the past, I have seen that, and I have like 20 plus years of experience in software development and data and analytics. So in the past, even the moderate or SMEs as well, those kind of companies, they always wanted the DevOps or the DevOps stuff yourself. That's first thing. And to your point, Ahmed, so I basically segregate the job posting in two different sides. One is the tech skills, the tool expertise, right? Or the technical expertise. The second thing is the expertise which are independent of your tool set. For example, you can model the data, you can model the dimensional side of it, you can understand the architecture and draw the architecture in a situation, you understand the business as well. These kind of skills come with with some experience, maybe 10, 15 years of experience. These are not dependent on any tool set.
100%.
Nowadays, I think the job postings are focusing more on the tool set.
So
that's my observation.
I don't want to generalize, because it depends on the company, it depends on the hiring manager, it depends on the HR folks. Some companies spend good amount of time in making the job description look fair and look honest to what they really need versus what they think they need, because again, it could be like a checklist or a ton of skill set that they don't really need. And just again, maybe in the future I'll need this, maybe in the future I'll need that. So that sometimes depends on the hiring manager and depends on how they position their team and look for the future. Neil, I think you had a comment here.
Yeah, it's a laundry list they're usually going for on these. They're trying to get that unicorn. The other one you want to take a look at, and you'll find it actually kind of amusing, is they'll ask you for 11 years experience in AI or cloud, and this used to happen in the cloud market all the time. And then you did the math and you realized nobody was doing it. It wasn't around. And so they that's why it's really important not to be put off by these descriptions. Look at the key components that are really important of how they describe the job and go for it. Like if you feel there's a large part of that I can do, and then a lot of it's just, well, they'd love to have that person show up, and rarely do they ever. I always remember my dad had his own consulting firm, and he'd say he did it all the time. He put in the unicorn all the time when he was looking for people. And he always told me, never zero in on everything in that. Like, you're just not going to make it. If you want to be adaptable, be able to learn, show that ability. Anyways, as a Rachana, I think.
Yeah, Rachana, I think.
Yeah. Sorry. I was just listening to all of you. Yes, I have seen. So a little bit just about me. I'm not from IT, and I'm trying to switch to IT right now. So I've been looking at the same time applying for jobs, which I have done in communication. So like you said, laundry list, I have seen like so many different jobs where it's like, by the title, I can do it. And I just go read it. And then it's like, yes, you need to do JLL or you need to do Java. I was like, how am I supposed to do that? But because that description doesn't match. And sometimes, like I have seen one of the job description where they're saying like HR communication. I was like, what is HR communication? And then you read the description, it's like, it's all about HR. And then finally there's like, you need to know graphic design. Like how a HR person would know the graphic designing thing, it does not make any sense. But they're still advertising it. So
that's funny.
One person
and drive a Formula One
for
car.
Sure, maybe.
Yeah, and drive a Formula One car. You have to know that too. Just you said communication. Sorry to jump in, but so that means you're able to relate to people. You understand how to communicate with people. So there's a lot of different. I went into the business through sales as a sales rep, and then moved into tech afterwards. Sometimes the direct line, especially when things are really tough and there's lots of resources out there, is a very difficult line to go through to get right to development. One of the areas that somebody with communication skills is actually not as prevalent as you might think. You might think everybody can speak and everybody can talk, but very few people can say the right things in front of customers, say the right things to management, talk in front of a crowd and things like that. a communication background is actually something that's really well suited for like a customer success manager, pre-sales, like anything that can, you kind of start through one area. And then once you get into the organization, you start taking on the tasks and the roles that are there and work your way. A lot of times just, getting into the organization, if you know that they're kind of a learning, adaptable organization, is half the battle. And so there's just I've recommended it to somebody else I know who's a project manager to go to customer success management, and she's quite happy now. So it's just, you may find that there's just different spins.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so again, I think there is some risks that we all see today. So some of us feel like AI is the biggest risk, it's the biggest threat for all of us. It's replacing all of us, and again, it's definitely replacing so many of the jobs that can be automated, that can be solved quickly through AI. There is things that we thought would take us like days and months and weeks to use those to help yourself grow. That's a big leverage too. The other thing that, again, senior or executive roles, they feel sometimes that new grads are scary for them, because they are coming fresh, they are coming new, they are talented, they can take their own jobs real quick. And cheap labor, if you outsource your work to some of the countries that are outside of US and Canada, those people are very talented too, and they can do the work with even 1/4 or 1/10 of the labor. So my question to you guys here is, what's the one thing about you that makes you hard to replace? If you have that question in mind, what would that be? And again, I want you to think a lot about this question and try to give it a fair answer, because that's how you will discover your biggest strength. That's how you will know what makes you unique versus all those other things that is caring or that is hurting your journey. So what's one thing about you that makes you hard to replace? If you want to share this in the chat, I would love to hear your thoughts here.
If it's okay, I can just say it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what is irreplaceable, and it will be forever replaceable, which is interpersonal skills. As long as someone still have a smallest office, you're still working there. And if you're still working in a team, it does not matter what kind of team you have, and you can't connect to the people, you can't work together.
100%.
That's what I think. Even though it's AI, I understand they will do all the body and everything, but there is a point, and there will be a point always. I believe it, that you need to interact with people, where you need their intelligence, not just the machine intelligence.
100%. 100%. So again, very good point, Rachana. I think communication skills is one of the most critical skills today that you cannot be replaced by AI, regardless how good that AI is. Human interaction is one of the most important things. So good point, Rachana. Anyone else? Anyone wanna perseverance with commitment and dedication to work? I don't know. Yes, I feel yes, it's definitely important, but AI is very fast today. For example, so how, and it's committed to do the work. So how can we protect ourselves from that edge? Maybe Faisal, do you wanna come off mute and share what you're trying to land here?
Yeah. So basically, right now, whatever they say about AI and Gen AI, there is a lot of gap that they have to catch up. Right. So, for example, for programming people, if you ask them, they will tell you that right now, if you have to get some help from AI, in most of the cases, the AI get it wrong, and I have experienced it myself as well. Even the AI that is part of Databricks toolset, that AI makes so many mistakes that most of the time we think that we should not be using it at all right now. And same goes for ChatGPT and other stuff as well. So I had 100-page PDF with some multiple choice questions for Microsoft. That was a dump for a certain certification, and it was all image, not text. So I wanted it to be a text so that I can go it through and I can do some of my stuff. I tried 4 or 5 different AI solutions. Nothing worked. After working like 1 or 2 hours, they returned back the result that they cannot do it on their own, and most of the tools did it wrong. Only one tool did it right, and I was surprised by that. Yeah. So right now there is a lot of ground to catch and a lot of ground to make. So I don't think that right now the complex jobs are at risk.
Yes, 100%. Again, the maturity level of AI is not there yet, and there is so many tools that have errors, and we definitely some biases too. So we cannot rely 100% on AI, that's for sure. But again, the human part is always important in those kind of things. But the communication is definitely one of the biggest things.
Yes.
That would be hard for AI to replace us, and also for even new grads or cheap labor to get ahead of you in that kind of scenario. So for example, if you know the market in the US and you brought someone outside of the US and they're trying to replace you, they will not be able to answer some of the questions about how the life goes on in US or Canada. So this is again localization, and culture is always going to be different than any of those risks. Rachana, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry to keep jumping in. I just wanted to add, Ahmed, what you said. Yes. So somebody asked me when I started. I got back in the market, and I'm still looking for a job. And then indirectly, someone said to someone because I was a little age-wise was not fresher, and I have some experience. I would say seasoned. I would tell myself but because I was switching to IT, why should I hire her when she does not have any experience? B, why can't I hire a fresher who are just coming, fresh graduates basically, who are willing to do anything at any level at any cost? So I didn't get to talk to the person, but I will at some point. But what I was going to say, one thing, what is the irreplaceable? Even though people are older than new graduates right now, to those people, I would just want to address the level of experience, if you have really in your career, working with people. I have worked in many different environments and people and different culture. And what I have learned especially in last 5 years, I would say for any normal person, especially if you go to IT sector where they have not worked with the people much, I have seen that some people struggling delivery their projects and everything. So in that manner, I have done so much more on high stake and kind of projects in a much shorter time period. So I have faced so many different challenges and at different level that people will take much more longer to learn from those kind of mistakes, from those kind of challenges. Just working for IT at any cost, at any time, it's just can't replace it. That's what I mean.
100%. I love where you're coming from, Rachana. And again, this is what makes experience very hard to replace, because you will not take the same amount of time like a fresh graduate who maybe didn't face those kind of problems before, and he doesn't know or she doesn't know what happens to solve those problems. Anil, go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple things, and you could probably comment more on this, and I kind of wish Samir was on. So first of all, the perseverance and whatever, it's really hard to show you have that just because through your resumes, but definitely there's ways to do that. On comments around the resumes and the applications and stuff, and social and media. So if you're out on the social media trying to do your branding, you have to be spend an incredible amount of time doing that, because you're up against the competition who are trying, and if that's the way you're trying to do it, you're competing against many people. So the ones that get the attention, the ones who speak at conferences, they're always delivering webinars, they're putting out content constantly all the time, and it's getting checkmarked, liked, and moved around by lots and lots of people. And there's a number, you could probably think of a few people that are, that are getting that attention. It's a great thing to do. I'm not saying not to do it. It's also a great way to keep your skill sets up, your communications, your writing skills, all of that. It's a fantastic way to practice all of that. But if you're trying to do go after specific jobs, that stuff doesn't make any difference unless somebody's actually seen your stuff and recommended you. You still have to get past HR and the recruiting guys and those automated systems. And those systems require you to write your resumes in a very specific way to get that freaking interview. That is the absolute golden ticket. Get the interview. However, once you get past that automated system, I talked to Samir, he talks about how many resumes his systems have to deal with. It's in the thousands. And he'll tell you, he's HR, and he says, we're lazy. Recruiters, we're all lazy. We don't want to have to make a lot of effort to do this stuff. So you got to make it easy for them all the time. So once you get somebody like Ahmed and whatever to help you with the resume to get past these systems, because that's what he knows really well, Samir knows really well, then you get into the interview stage. And the interview stage is an interesting stage because it's kind of a funny thing. It's like you're trying to get the person to like you, right? So then how do you develop the interview skills? You just don't, I can work off the cuff fairly well. I've had to do it in my whole career, so I'm fairly trained at that. But a lot of people can't do that. So you need to work with a coach of some sort in order to go through these interviews, and they'll ask you all sorts of questions, and you can get them from ChatGPT if you want. But ChatGPT is not going to fire some out of the blue question from nowhere to throw you off. And that's the whole thing with the practice, is getting thrown off so that you get comfortable with being unstable, like being on one of those, if you go to the gym with those Bosu balls, you're trying to do something in without killing yourself. And so that's where a coach is really great. So I find people, they think they're taking this whole process seriously, but they're not. And it's like a professional athlete. A professional athlete just doesn't go out and do their own thing and they hire, they invest, they work very prescriptive because they have an end goal in mind to minimize the amount of money they're losing every day. They want to maximize their income. That's my rant. So, sorry.
Yeah. No, this is a good point. Marwan, I think you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes.
Hello? Okay. Hi, everyone. It's been joining, my first session was the last week, but I've been trying to be more frequent. I had something to say about communication, just in general.
Yeah.
And this also adds to what Neil was saying about what you should do in the interview and stuff. And I honestly, my career has been relatively short, only a couple of years. But something I realized is that oftentimes, whenever you're in any job position, people have to enjoy working with you, and you have to seem like someone that you someone you'd like to be your friend, essentially. But well, obviously, we're all colleagues and all of that. I feel like having a toxic workplace environment, that's also something that you don't really want. And let's say if you got a great job with good pay and everything, but you absolutely hate your boss, you'd be in a position where you just don't want to work. You dread it. You dread working every day. And I think that's something you want to cultivate, especially in most work positions or any job you're applying for. And don't put too much. I mean, obviously, you have bills to pay and everything and all of that. So don't put all the importance to that part, but also keep that in mind whenever you're applying for any positions. So that's my take.
Thanks, Marwan. Yeah, so I wanted just to get back to one of the points that Neil has mentioned about branding and positioning on LinkedIn. And again, you don't need to have thousands followers or too many followers in order for you to get the job. You're not an influencer. You're not going to be a TikToker or a YouTuber just to get the job. That's not what you should do. It's just you need to get the attention of 10 people or 5 people that are very important for you, the hiring managers, or those company that are really in your target list. So I personally would always uh, guide the folk that if you spray and pray, that's definitely not the best way. You have to be very intentional in your search, because that's how you will land jobs. If you keep chasing all the shiny objects, you will never feel comfortable. You will always be frustrated. There is always going to be gaps. There is always going to be self doubts, and that's not what you need to show up to those employers. You need to show that you're problem solver. You can deliver what they need, and you know their challenges and how to show the proof from your previous experience that you solve those challenges before. Osman, I see you have your hand raised. Go ahead, sir.
Well, first of all, thanks for this session and thanks for really good information, Neil and Ahmed. So I have a question with the AI nowadays, even for job application, people are automating that process. So for a single job, you see like thousands and thousands of application, and AI can also customize resume to be ATS compatible. And so how do we deal with that kind of a challenge, to survive in that process as well? Because AI is doing everything, applying for jobs, keeping AI ATS friendly, and same thing on the HR side. AI is being used to scan and filter the resumes.
Yeah, good question. So again, you like anything in life, you have to learn it. If this is the process, if this is what company needs out of you, you have to learn how to write your resume to pass the ATS, to understand how ATS works, how companies hire, in order for you to be able to match the process. Because you cannot, if you continue to blame them, if you continue to curse them, that's not going to change any of your problem. It's still your problem. Like, you have to solve
Right.
it regardless how difficult it is. Maybe, again, we don't like it. I don't mind saying that. I don't like everything that AI is doing, but I cannot change it now. Like, it's part of the system.
Yeah.
I just have to deal with it. That's my problem. I have to deal with it. So the best way to do this now is to learn how to pass the ATS system, how to make your resume tailored, how to understand the hiring process of every company, and prepare yourself for those hiring process challenges. Does that make sense, Osman?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So, Rachan, I see you raising your hand, but I just want to land this slide here, because this is the most important one to protect you from that kind of market. So each one of us, we need to build what is called a moat. And a moat is just like a place where you are safe from any fears or struggles, and is what is in your control. And those things are in your control. So your unique results. So if you wanna to be the best in your market, and get employable fast, if you faced a risk of being laid off, or face a risk of getting out of the market, you need to be ready with your unique results. So if, let's say, you're not writing your resume, or you're not writing your results every quarter at least, and you need to spend at least 1 hour every quarter to write what did you do in this quarter, or even better if you do it every month, maybe just block 1 hour in your calendar, as if you're doing a performance review for yourself. This is going to help you to continue to remember those stories that you need to bring in the interview, or those stories that you need to bring in your resume, that would show that you're the right match. This is one thing. The rare skills. So today, you know yourself better than anyone. You know yourself better than anyone. Nobody knows your rare skills. You only know it. And if you don't know it, then you may need to ask people around you. What do you feel about my rare skills? What do I really deliver best, or what do you feel like I'm exceptional in this area, that would make me more skillful in terms of how can I use the skill to get the next job. And of course, networking is very important. Some folks, when they are working, they don't network. They feel, okay, I'm safe now. I should not network. I don't need to, mingle and talk to people. And that's harmful because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Whether you're CEO, whether you're just a software developer or junior, you don't know what will happen. So your network is your net worth. It's important to keep it active. It's important to, get to connect with people in your market and make sure you build a good long-term relationship. And it's not just transactional. Okay, so I just need your help now and I don't care about you later. Keep this, regular. Whether your network don't need to be thousands of people, it just need to be 5 or 10 people who really, like you, who really love you, who really trust you, who can help you whenever you have those kind of scenarios. Clear proof is again one of the most important things that sometimes when we're working, we forget to note down those proofs. Like get maybe a recognition email, get a letter, get an award, get something that would show that we really have a proof that we delivered the work that we are excited about, and that would make us the best hireable person in the market. The personal brand again is what people tell about you after you leave the room. When you're not in the room, people will speak about you. How do they speak about you? This is your personal brand. Neil, go ahead if you have a question or a comment, and then we'll go to Rashana.
These are all excellent. One of the ones I'm always telling people to be very, very careful with is when they get laid off or they're seeing that their industry is not doing well and they see what looks like the golden industry to go into, and IT was for the last number of years. The shotgun response is, I need to go back to school. You have to be really careful what you're going to pick for training and upskilling and things like that. And in particular, go back to school. Going back to school is extremely expensive. Once you have a degree, whether it's a college or university degree, you're already ahead of a lot of people who don't. You've shown that you can put in a massive amount of effort to get a piece of paper, whether it's a 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8-year degree, it doesn't matter. You develop expertise when you're on the job. The most important thing is making sure you might need to pick some courses and stuff to round out the skill set you have to help. I'm not talking about people who are going to make a complete switch, but it's super important to sit down, get some help, whatever, to really lay out what would be the path to get to that new career, that new job, and then what skill sets. So if you're not very confident and you want to do presentations or you're going to be communicating, you're not good at that sort of thing. I was struggling with some of that. So I took the Dale Carnegie course. It was a freaking game changer for me. After that, the way they deliver that course gives you tons of confidence in front of people. I actually was getting recruited into the Ontario Police Department, actually from someone I met there, which is a little weird for me since I'm not particularly a great shot of any kind. But anyways, you develop certain courses will develop skills that help you get jobs. And then once you're there, you can do the training. But I'm really adamant that people are not to just shotgun and go, I'm going to spend tons of money on training and that's going to get me a job. And then they're shocked when they get a master's in something and they're still only getting a whatever. And another example I was at when I was working at a company, my boss wanted me to get an MBA, and I looked at it and go, well, why would I drop $75,000 on an MBA to make exactly the same thing I'm making right now? And it never would have helped me. So just in these tough times, if you're really struggling, the money is better invested in getting someone who knows what they're doing to help coach you along. And I know I sound like I'm doing a sales thing for Ahmed, but I've watched so many people. I'm very outgoing, so some of these things are way easier for me, and I understand that. I got that kind of personality, but a lot of people don't, and that's a very difficult thing. So develop that skill set, develop that help, the support, the day-to-day support is what you really need. Sorry if I'm again ranting.
No, this is amazing. Thank you, Neil. Thank you so much for this, and it's a good point. Definitely, if you don't invest in yourself, who will? Like if you don't feel like you're the most important asset in your life, and you invest in your time, learning, coaching, and everything that you need to get to where you really want to go, then unfortunately nobody can help you. Rachana, I think you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yes. I just what you guys been discussing, you and Neil. The one thing I have noticed over the years, what I have experienced through all those experience, that knowing yourself is the best thing you can do to yourself. The reason why I'm saying is because I'll give you a small example. Someone was talking about a bad boss where you cannot you just feel like every morning you don't want to get up and you don't want to go to job. You hate your job because of your boss. Every person is a human. As long as you understand that how that human works, even though it's very, very difficult person, I had experience too. And it took me a little bit of time to understand that person. I was very agitated, very angry. Every day I would just feel like I'm not going to do. And I was in public sector where it's hard to get fired to anybody. But like you said, anything happened and it started happening, and that would happen to me. So that's why I'm here. So how I dealt with that person. I monitored. I saw what actually that person actually trying to do. So just the way that person was working, it just felt like trying to intimidate you, basically. So I started documenting everything, which was I just felt like was not right. Code of conduct, what we call it. Once we go into the legal, that kind of route, even though it's a very difficult person, once you have a data set, like how you can talk to that person, like what's wrong, many things. For example, I disagreed with few things, and then I monitored, and then finally I was like, I need to talk to you. And I hated, but I did. And I told her, like, I understand where you're coming from. I know that maybe you're right as well, but that's not the way you're supposed to be talking. That's not the way you're supposed to be saying to me. There is a way for everything. You cannot yell at anybody, for example, in front of everyone, even though that person has made a mistake. I do not agree with that. So once you take that stand, I just feel like it. And when that person understands that you actually understand how to work in the office, then slowly but surely that person backs off. And that person, my supervisor, backed off slowly but surely. And it was very difficult. It was like almost 6 months period where I had to deal with that person. So there is no other way of doing any hard situation, basically, than just you have to do it. You have to understand the situation. You have to deal with the situation. You have to learn with the situation. Basically, that's what it is.
100%. And I love where you're coming from, Rachana, because again, communication is one of the toughest thing that we all as tech people get challenged with. And to your point, data is very, very important. If you have a solid set of data to back up your story, back up your position, back up your stand, then this will make you stronger. And to your point again, if you didn't analyze and write down those data sets for yourself, you would feel always weak. You would feel like you're not ready to defend. And this goes all the way to other areas of your career. So if you go to an interview and you don't have those data sets of what did I accomplish, how much did I save this company, how did I support them in terms of, let's say, market size or footprint or competition. If you can bring those numbers and show how you impacted the business from your position, this will position you itself by far from your competition. So I just have another 2 slides, just real quick, and then we'll open up for questions, and we'll take the group selfie at the end. So again, as you saw, like, to protect yourself from the market, you need to do those 5 things, the skill, the network, the brand, the unique results, the proof. Those are things that you have to start writing down, keeping an eye on, keeping always fresh, so that you use them whenever you really need them in the market, and you have a strong pathway afterwards. If you got laid off tomorrow, which companies are you going to approach, which positions you're looking for, how would you share your knowledge and expertise, and that's how you protect yourself from those kind of scenarios. And then again, definitely try to leverage what's growing within your company. If you're still working, your company maybe is already shifting. If you resist that shift, or if you resist that move, then unfortunately maybe you will be gone because they want to continue with that shift. So if you can help them with that shift, then definitely that would keep you longer, for sure. So the last thing that I want you to take away here, and maybe you want to take a screenshot of this, this is something that you definitely need to keep an eye on yourself, and start to write down your mode map regularly. Let's say, schedule 1 hour every month to write down what are the skills that you're learning this month, what are the results, what are the relationships, what are the proofs, what are the visibility. So try to keep an eye on those things. Have a record, as Rashana mentioned, data set or proof of what happens to you that you can use to defend yourself in the interview and show your results. I think this is mostly what I have for today, so I'll stop sharing my screen and we'll open up for Q&A and see what you guys want to ask, and get this going. Neil, go ahead.
Yeah, there was a comment mentioned about the layoffs and who's. I just want to make a comment on. Sorry, I'm rambling. I don't know if anybody worked for Microsoft or worked for one of these big companies, but one of the things I was talking to some friends of mine who were at Microsoft and had gotten laid off is the hardest part was they get laid off and then they see that Microsoft or the company is hiring a bunch of people. Like all of a sudden now there's all these job offers that are out there. And it was quite interesting to me to take a look at some of those job offers, because it was really just kind of the same kinds of jobs a lot of these people could have just morphed into, no problem, but they stuck AI in front of it. So it was cloud solution architect for AI and cloud architecture or cloud, deployments and things like that. Like it was just these ridiculous things. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is you've got to be really watchful for the direction of your industry you're in, where they're heading, and try to keep up with that type of direct. A lot of people like to stay within their lane all the time. They want to just focus on what they know the best, and there's a lot of good reasons for that. You can become an expert. You get picked up all the time. But sometimes if you're trying to stay with your company or you see things happening, you've really got to focus on where you see the market going. The other one people were telling me from Microsoft they really seem to notice, and whether it's true or not, it's an appearance, is that the people that were mostly let go were the senior people who were being paid a lot of money and the junior people that had just come in the door. So there were people there that only were in there 3 months. I think one person was just about to start work and got laid off like immediately. So there's a lot of these things that happen that are just beyond your control completely. And what's very insulting is when you start seeing jobs come out, and you really have to get past that and just start taking a look at, well, what is it they're asking for? What's the job role now looking like? And start adapting your resumes and things towards, and your speech pattern towards that.
No, good point, Neil. And again, companies are also struggling. They're trying to learn AI. They're trying to use AI to the best of their competition, and that make them maybe take wrong decisions sometimes. Layoffs could be a wrong decision for some kind of, let's say, a team, and you will find them re-recruiting those people maybe afterwards, maybe for more salaries or more experience afterwards. So anyway, I think companies are companies. We want to just do our part here, and also I think if you focus on your path or focus on your skill set for a long time, that's very important. If your skill set is evolving with the market, that will make you more employable. So if you, let's say, add, like to Neil's point, AI to your expertise, then that will keep you in the market. But if you try to, again, blame AI and you just, defend that, AI is not good, you just wasting your time. Unfortunately, it's still your problem. You still, something that you have to deal with, and companies need it. So regardless what you say, regardless what you keep telling yourself about AI, it's still going to stay, and companies are using it. Customers are using it. Everybody's trying to be smart using it, and it's going to be a reality anyway. Rachana, I think you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you, Ahmed, about AI thing, what you're talking about, and keeping ourselves updated to find anything which coming new. And that's the only way to go. And when it comes to the challenge of the AI, I think we all are in the same boat. We all are learning. So just understand, like, I cannot do this. I think all of us say like a feel same way that we cannot do it because we all are learning. Even AI is very, very new. They're still trying to evolve this AI thing. I mean, I known about AI since last 5 years. I have never paid attention to AI, honestly. But my brother is in IT, and it was like, I technically, before I used to do graphic design, it's like everything gonna go off, my brother said. And I just laughed at him 5 years ago. I was like, no, graphic design will stay. Who will design? But look at it, 5 years from now, things are different. People use Canva, and I thought that Canva, who used Canva? Like, I can do everything from scratch. I am not going to do Canva. It's someone else's. That's how I was thinking, the way I was thinking. But now it's like, who wants to use this Adobe Suite? Nobody wants had time to use the Adobe Suite. Everybody wants to do Canva. So that's how we are. That's where we are. We have to be updated with the AI. I totally agree with you. And challenges, changes, they're never easy. We just have to take it one step at a time, basically.
100%. So we're on time. If you guys have questions, please go ahead and ask. I want to support you. I want to help you, and Nell here as well. So if you have questions, go ahead, and maybe we can take the group selfie at the end. Faisal, go ahead.
Yeah, so I would like to understand a situation. So, for example, a person like me with multiple challenges. First challenge is that I'm on H1B. The second challenge is that right now most of the companies are not hiring H1Bs, unfortunately. Right. The second thing is how I can find out if my resume is something that can be, in the top 10%. Although I have used multiple tools to check with the ATS score or the ATS friendliness, it says that I'm between 85 to 93%. But still, I see most of the times that my resume is not getting picked up.
Okay, so it's a good question, and I have, a kind of approach that you may not really like it, but it's working, and it's very strategic, So resumes are really good, no matter how good you are in writing resumes and passing ATS, you will still get rejections. Even ATS experts, they get rejections. No matter what they will do. So the best way today is to network, to speak to people. If you are competing for a job that you find thousands of people applying to it, your chances are very low. Let's be honest. Again, it's most of them are spams. Unfortunately, most of them are just easy apply bottom, and then they just spamming the job. But if you go to a hiring manager, if you network with someone who can refer you internally, who can endorse you, that's another gate that has less queue, in terms of competition. And I know it's hard because most of tech folks are introverts. They don't want to speak to people. They don't want to expose themselves. They feel shy. They feel that it's why should I, or how should I approach someone who doesn't know me, and that could be scary a little bit. And I get it, but you can do it, and it's a muscle. It's just a muscle that you have to use and practice. Whether you're doing it with even your brothers and sisters and cousins, and start with those people because they know you do with them, but maybe they have a connection. It doesn't need to be your brother or sister who knows someone, who can help you. They can know someone in their network who they trust, who can really endorse you to do that. And again, it's just a matter of you speaking to them and getting them to know, okay, I have a list of companies. Do you guys know someone in those companies that can refer me? Do you know someone who is willing to support me? And that's how you should do it.
Mhm. So I use the referrals sometimes, and the experience that I faced, I faced two kind of roadblocks. One, the immigration status, right? And the second, I mean the visa status. And the second is, in some of the situations, I found out that those job postings were not the real job postings by the companies. Those were only for some green card process. So those were just the fillers, yeah.
Yeah, no, again, I hear you, and definitely the visa is a big problem now in the US and Canada. And I don't want to, make this less important. It's definitely an issue. And unfortunately, I'm not in a position to solve this here. But again, if you were able to find a list of companies who are still hiring H1B, and maybe that's not in the internet, that's something that you will not find in the internet. You need to speak to people. Okay, is your company hiring H1B? If that's the answer is yes, then can you refer me? Can you endorse me? Can you recommend me? Can you connect me, introduce me to a hiring manager? That's the next question. But again, before you ask those so many asks, do you have a good relationship with that person that you're asking? Because if you don't have a good relationship with that person, why would they help you? Again, it's a relationship. If you don't give at the beginning, why are you expecting them to give you without taking first? So this is how volunteering is very important. So what I highly recommend for you, Faisal, and everyone who's listening to me, you have a specific expertise in some area. If you started now a group to help them grow in your expertise, teach them what you know about this kind of, let's say, data architecture or data analyst or whatever, and this group will speak about you. This group, maybe their uncle is a CEO, maybe their cousin is a hiring manager. They might endorse. I spoke to Faisal. He showed me this thing, and I learned a lot from him, and I'm very grateful for what he told me. And then that person will endorse you. So that could be your gate. So again, if we focus on ourselves, and this is again something that I personally did in my journey when I was struggling to find jobs, I started to volunteer. I started to give to the community. I started to support people around me with whatever I knew, and that's what made me today what I am. That helped people. Does that make sense, Faisal?
Yeah, but another question, or the real question that I wanted to ask, is how we can write a resume for an experienced person, which can be an eye catcher for the recruiters or for the hiring managers.
Okay.
The first site.
If you wanna maybe connect with me offline, I think there is a video on my YouTube channel that Eleni had done previously, and it goes step by step on how to make this on your resume. I'll send it to you, and you can again learn it yourself. There is so many information out there in order for you to make your resume stand out. That's for sure.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Welcome. Neil, go ahead, sir. MAQ first.
Thank you.
MAQ, if you wanna unmute and I'm.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to ask, you talked about networking. So I see that in the companies, even through networking, you are getting 50 to 60 profiles. I had a word with HR where the HR said, I got a resume. I got tons of resume for one position, and those are all like reference and networking layer, like 50, 60, and they had to again reset it because they cannot go ahead and interview all the 50 candidates for that. So this is now becoming even through networking a challenge. And another question is how is the roadmap looking for hiring, going further in 2026? Do we see a room for improvement? improvement, or is it going to be same as 2025 or maybe worse?
Okay, so let's take the first question first. Networking, it's a muscle. It's not easy. It's not easy. Again, I don't want you to feel like networking is something that you could learn overnight and you could just be an expert in networking and make people like you. It's a skill. You need to do it multiple times. Reps, is important for you to be good at networking, and it's all about how you communicate yourself. If you were a nice person, always throwing jokes, and you're making people feel like they're uh, welcomed and they are happy to stay with you, then that's a good skill. But if you're not that kind of person, then it's going to be hard for you to make them move forward with your help. It's again, how much they like you, how much they have time to invest in you. It's a matter of relationship. If you don't invest in advance in that relationship to make them feel, okay, yes, you scratched my back before, I'll scratch your back now and I'll help you, then that's a relationship. Or at least somehow I like you. You seem like a genuine person, I want to support you. So again, if you are not that kind of person, networking is gonna be hard for you. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it's something that you need to continue to practice a lot. The second question about the market, I think the market is getting better. It's never gonna get back to the COVID days. That's not gonna happen for sure, but it's getting better. There is so many open positions now that I can see every day in the market that was not there before. So many companies are hiring in different ways. I think it's settling down. At the beginning of this year, there was so many changes in terms of tariffs and in terms of legislations, and that disrupted multiple business, and they were not able to take the decision to hire because they were not sure if hiring is the right decision at that time. But I see from the posts inside LinkedIn and even Indeed, that there is more jobs these days than before. So what's going to happen in 2026, I don't know, because it's changing every day today. But what you care for is how can you land the job. I want you to care about, again, you definitely need to care about the market, but I don't want you to focus on what you cannot control. I want you to focus on what you can control. So build your own plan. Focus on companies that would need someone like you, and see what would make you employable for those companies. Do you need more certifications? Do you need more communication skills? Do you need more hands-on experience? That's what you should focus on in order to become employable for those companies. I'll pause here, see if you have any follow-up here, MEQ, before I go to Neil. MEQ?
You're on mute.
You're on mute if you're speaking. Okay, I think maybe he's mute. Go ahead, Neil.
So I completely agree with Ahmed. So one of the things you have to watch out for is what you're seeing and hearing is news. They're trying to make things to get you to look at their newspapers. They blow things up. They make it sound good. No, it's not great. They lay lots of people off, but they're always hiring. As you can see, like I said, Microsoft laid a whole pile of people off, and yet.
Oh, we lost you, Neil.
Sorry. What's that?
So, I felt like we lost you for a second. I'm not sure if it was the internet or what.
Oh, the internet.
Yeah.
Probably not on Rogers. Never mind. It might have been Bell. So I switched internet providers and I tried to blame the wrong one. Anyways, so what you have to remember is that companies are always hiring. They always are. They may be different levels, like government. During a corporate recession where companies are going down, government's hiring, and then it switches and goes the other way around. But one of the biggest things that is happening that people are always forgetting is that people my age, the boomers, I'm towards the end. There's still boomers behind me. They're all retiring. So there's a ton of, and then there's the Gen X's behind them, and there's quite a few of those guys too, and they're all looking at potentially retiring. So they're constantly people that are leaving the market for whatever reasons whatsoever. So a lot of the jobs that come up have got nothing to do with layoffs whatsoever, or we're doing a new strategy. It's just they're trying to replace somebody, and so there's always that. So exactly what Ahmed said, you control what you control, and the fact that you're on these calls already makes you ahead of a ton of people out there who are struggling every day by firing out a million resumes in this, as he said, spray and pray, hope is a strategy way of doing things without actually being prescriptive on how they go about the business. And so if you treat this job search the way you're doing it right now as your career, this is your business. I'm in the sales business of selling me. How do I improve the ability to sell my value? How do I make sure my resume gets through these ATS systems? How do I make sure I do the best interviews? How do I pick the companies and the type of tech or the type of job I want to do? Like that's I think it was, Marwin was mentioned, like you want to be careful who you go work for too. Just because you don't have a job doesn't mean you just go work for anyone. Like you got to be careful of that too. So it's all the research. There's a ton of work. You do that, it doesn't matter what the state of the market is unless every single company is folding. Well, I don't know about you, but there's tons of, and I posted this thing. We had a really great session last week with an incredible recruiter who, I mean, she put up all sorts of hints about all these job sites that companies go to because they can't afford to pay $1,000 a candidate or whatever it is for LinkedIn. They post in all these other ones. Tool sets like this type of CRM type of application that helps you identify people in companies rather than paying the big fees at LinkedIn to get their sales component. It's a huge cost for that. But these guys do it a lot less, and identifying where you get emails so you can reach out and things like that. There's all sorts of tools. So arm yourself with that. Arm yourselves with the skills of practicing and controlling all that, and you will eventually get a job because you will be better than almost everybody else out there.
100%. And again, one more wisdom: don't switch lanes. This is not the right time to switch lanes today. The market is tough, and you have an expertise in some area. You don't want to lose that. You don't want to start from scratch. You don't want to compete with fresh graduates while you have 10 years of experience. That's not gonna be fair for you. So don't think about switching lanes today. It's not the right time. Again, just to give that to anyone who's thinking to change the title from X to Y or whatever, is of it, then maybe use AI as part of it, but keep in your lane, keep in your role. That's where you build a ton of expertise. Go ahead, Neil.
As a caveat to that, using that experience you have to get a job that maybe you were doing before, type of work you were doing before, with the your brain and mind of, if you've decided, well, I would like to eventually become a developer, I want to eventually become something. Always look to the idea that, well, I'll get this job because now I'm getting paid and I'm really good at it. And when I'm in this company, are there opportunities to start moving and learning and developing to become this new person? So an example, I joined IT. I went into sales org. I got into Oracle selling their education, and they saw me presenting. The pre-sales people saw me presenting and recommended to their boss that she talked to me. She saw me present and she said, look, I can't teach these people skills or how to present, but I can teach the tech to you. So I'll teach you that. So I got really lucky, but that happens all the time. Like tons of people tell me this happens. And so if you can really develop what you already get, that job, go to where you want to go, where you can use your skill sets with your eye still on the prize of looking for those opportunities. Always keep those in mind to develop for that. You just never know. You never know what will happen.
100%.
Sometimes you just get lucky.
100%. Again, you never fail until you stop trying. That's what Neil is trying to say here, I guess. Okay, Osman, I think you have your hand raised for a long time. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion, Neil and Ahmed, about networking and you keep trying. I think, excuse me. I think there's another way we can try. Is that like a mentorship? So whoever's still working in the company, so maybe they can try a mentoring the juniors, or maybe seeking some mentorship from the seniors. That way, they build more networking, skills, and also develop the skills and the opportunity to network other people. That's the kind of a thing. And also, going back to the Ahmed's suggestion, giving back to the community. I think that's a great suggestion, and something I just recently started. I live in Southern California in Irvine, and this is something I started with the local community. That getting connected with other students and professionals the same field, that really helps staying the same network. And maybe students can get together, do a brainstorming, and also getting mentorship from from the professionals in the community. That can be another way of networking and gaining more skills.
100%,
Excellent.
Osman. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, again, I'm creating my own community as well. If you guys want to connect with my community, just DM me and I'll send you the link to join as well. Thank you so much,
Sure.
Osman. This is definitely a great way to give back and great way to support this kind of market that we have today. And definitely it will grow your brand too. So it's a win-win all the way. Awesome, Faisal. I think you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was talking on mute. So yeah, I just wanted to ask about that effort that we are going to make for the community. So just let us know and loop us in.
Yeah, I shared already this in multiple of my posts, but I can share this. If you DM me, I'll send you the link to join the community. Other folks who are transitioning. So if you would like to help Faisal from your field, will be I'll be happy to let you in and support this kind of approach.
Sure, thanks.
Awesome, Khalid. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, thanks, Ahmed. Thanks, Neil, for the talk today. I just had a quick question. I think this was brought up earlier regarding the experience and projects. They can never be changed. And they're way more better when it comes to things. So my question over here, how do you ensure that whatever projects and interpersonal skills that you're developing, they're relevant to the market? Sometimes the market changes and these projects and these skills, they kind of go outdated. How do you make sure as an individual who's developing himself or herself that they stay up to date to what the market asks for?
Good question, Khaled. Thank you so much for sharing this question. So, again, you will never be able to match the whole market. The whole market is so big. Nobody can do that to themselves. You need to find your own niche, in your own, let's say, focus. So if let's say you're working before in healthcare, and you've been in tech, let's say you've been doing cybersecurity in healthcare. And again, I don't know a lot about you, but I'll just give some assumptions and just to land the message here. And you now want to move to fintech. Do you have any information or any knowledge about fintech? Probably not. So this will mean that you don't have stories that are relevant to fintech. So when you go to an interview, or even if when you write your resume, you will not click with those hiring manager. You will not be able to make them feel, oh yes, Khalid is the right person for this role. So what I would do in order to focus, if let's say you've been working before with companies like, let's say, healthcare, then you continue to focus on companies that are growing in healthcare and try to see what are the skill set that peers like yours, for example, if there is some people already working in that sector in your role, what are they growing? Go and search in LinkedIn, see people in your role and try to see, okay, this person took this AWS certification, this person took this Azure certification, this person took this course, this person was using this tool. And accordingly, if those companies are within your list, then probably, if you take the same route, you will reach the same goal like those people. Would that answer your question, Khalid, somehow?
Yeah, that puts a lot of clarity into it. Thanks, Ahmed.
You're welcome. Neil, I think you want to add something here.
Just want to add. So there's a saying, beware the shiny object. Okay, so you see it again, and when you're looking at the news, you're looking at LinkedIn You're looking at all these TLDR things that come your way. They're all about AI. And AI is probably one of the few that's actually an impactful thing. Took a while to get going, by the way, but it's impactful because you put enough connections and permissions in, you can access data to make it useful. But most companies and government and big organizations, healthcare, you name it, they're still running on older systems. They're not running on necessarily cloud everything. They have some cloud for sure, a lot of their new stuff, but a lot of it's still these older server-based systems. Their websites, they're all private. You call them private clouds. They're really just data center deployments. And I did a lot of that work with IBM. I was deploying data center stuff. And so if you look at, for example, the Canadian federal government is a great example. The majority of their data sits in an Oracle database on Unix-based systems or Linux-based systems to some extent. And those things use stuff, if you're in tech and you've heard of PL SQL, that's code in the database. The applications were built in the database. In order for them to be cloud-enabled properly or to be web-enabled or whatever, there's basically a modernization. You have to rebuild these applications. There's a ton of work out there for that. A friend of mine's son is still doing COBOL for insurance companies. So just be really careful when you see you need to be the AI expert. It's extremely useful, no question about it, because it's going to be a useful tool set. I've been told by a number of coders that it is terrible for doing any kind of production code. It gets itself lost in the debugging part. Apparently it gets itself all mixed up, but eventually they'll sort that out. So really think about what is the type of thing you want to do and really look at what the organizations are looking for and the types of jobs, because there's a ton of jobs out there that are still infrastructure-based, private cloud-based, regular development where there's Java code, it's re-enable modernization, it's a lot of still those same old technologies that are around. And a lot of them are still using mainframes. Mind you, they're using Linux-based layers on top, but there's still mainframe technology underneath. So it's just, if everybody's going for AI all the time because they want to be an AI developer, well, that's everybody. But if you want to get a job in tech where you have to understand the core and do a lot of because there's a ton of tech debt, is what I'm saying, that needs to be dealt with. And that they're going to be looking for lots of people still for that over time.
Yeah, and again, it's a good point, Neil. Shiny objects are always distracting. It brings some story that I've heard recently about how do you protect your worth. Like you are a precious diamond. You just need to find the jewelry shop that would buy this precious diamond. So I'll give you a quick story that I heard. There was an old man that wanted to give his son a lesson, and he gave him his car. He told him, go and sell this car, and he took the car and went to a dealership. They told him, oh, this is $5,000. So the boy came back to the old man and told him, okay, this is $5,000. So okay, now go to the junkyard and try to sell this car. And then he went to the junkyard. He said, this is $500. So and he came back to his old man and he told him, oh, this is $500. That's very cheap. And then he told him, okay, now go to that antique shop and you tell him, you want to sell this car. And then he went to the antique shop. Oh, this is $100,000 car. So that's what you need to find. You need to find that really, shop that really find the value in you, and make sure that this is how you share your worth. You should not sell yourself cheap. You should not lowball yourself. It's not about money or salary. Like some people, unfortunately, they always tell me, okay, if I lower my salary, would that make me more hireable? No, it will not. Unfortunately, that's not how this market works. If you lower your salary, this will make you lose your confidence, lose the value in front of the employers, and at the end of the day, unfortunately, you're still not going to be employed, because companies is not going to hire you just because you're low salary. They are not buying commodity here. They are buying value. They're buying expertise, and so on. I think we extended almost 30 minutes today. It's a very nice discussion. I love those kind of questions because it brings a ton of insights to me and everybody. I hope this was useful. I don't want to take more of your Sunday. If you want to connect with me, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to share any solution for you, any recommendation. Again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining today. Any final words, Neil, or anyone here before we wrap it up? Awesome. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Next week we have a very, very nice speaker, Joe Paulo. He's a sales expert, and interviewing is all about sales. So if you wanna really learn how to manage the emotional sell and the logical sell, next week Sunday, Joe is gonna share a ton of great wisdom. He wrote a bestseller book, and he has a unique approach that would help you with how to get referrals, how to get interviews or interviewers to hear you more. Thank you so much, Neil. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching and listening. I hope this was useful. Take care and see you next week. Bye.
Good luck, everyone.